Have you ever tried pushing water up a hill? I imagine it's as frustrating as Nigel Clough seeing his striker get sent off after 10, 15 minutes and looking around at the bench thinking, who have I got to bring on? Who have I got that can get us through the next 3 games or so? And then looking in the stands and thinking, is any of my players going to be back fit and available to help me fill that gap? And getting the answer, probably not. Frustrating is one word for it. Another question might be, when is Lady Luck going to smile her beautiful face on Mansfield Town again? Or maybe she already has. Oates' red card has definitely not helped the Stags' boss's cause, but I guess on the bright side, the Stag striker can go and do his Christmas shopping over the next 3 games or so. That won't help his teammates though, who are going to have to carry the burden. Injuries galore. It's not looking good, is it, for Nigel Clough as he looks for options. Tonight we'll discuss all of that and look back on the Accrington Stanley FA Cup game where we left at 2-1 down, thanks Clive, and missed a goal from Carl McAdam and then a penalty shootout victory. Maybe we're the curse. Who knows? We'll talk about all of that on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast, because this is the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. As ever, come and join the conversation in the live feed. Right, let's get it started, shall we? Hello everyone and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Well, because Mansfield always matters. Glad to have you with us this evening. Apologies that we're a couple of minutes late. Someone hasn't got the brain capacity to save the broadcast link, which is the same link every single week that we've been using for the past 2-3 months, into their favourites bar. Yet they can put Hollyoaks Omnibus in their favourites bar. They can put Hub on also in their favourites bar. They can put Tiddlywinks competitions in their favourites bar, but they the broadcast link because clearly to them Mansfield doesn't matter. You'll figure out which one of our 2 guests that was in just a minute as we say hello and good evening to them. First and foremost, let's go to the man who was very much on time, but almost didn't make it back from Accrington at the weekend. Evening, Jim.
Evening, Craig. I was just about to say I was all right when I got home and dried out, but evening everybody else as well.
Yeah, it's a good job that you did get home in the end, because you very nearly didn't. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. And let's say hello and good evening to the man who can't save it in his bookmarks. Hello, Cameron. You've muted yourself. What have you done?
Is that better?
There you go.
It mutes us when you start playing the thing automatically. So you have to unmute us.
I just did, and it said the guest has muted themselves. So save it in your bookmarks, you idiot. Right, anyway. Good lad. Right. Hopefully later on in the show we'll be joined by Clive as well. He's doing some other bits and bobs tonight. So hopefully he'll turn up later on, and then we'll let you into why Jim nearly stayed in Accrington on Saturday. It was a bit of a mixed bag over the last few days or so, Jim, though, wasn't it? Got through by the skin of our teeth at Accrington, and if we're being honest, we were quite unlucky on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday, we got through on Saturday, but it's still a bit of a bitty performance, wasn't it? The first half especially. The second half, I thought we came out really, really well. And even though we got through on the penalty shootout, it was still, we could easily have been dumped out as well. And Tuesday night, I like we were saying before we came on air, I was fuming when I came out of the ground on Tuesday. It's cheap and easy to have a go at referees, but by God, we had a writing on Tuesday, didn't we? Even though we played really, really well, I can't fault the lads. Some of the things on Tuesday night, which I'm sure we'll talk about, were beggared belief.
Yeah, they certainly did. It was very, very frustrating indeed. Cam, we did make progress in the FA Cup, but like Jim was saying there, Tuesday was a bit of a frustrating thing, and we continue this little bit of a barren run in League One. And to be fair to Nigel, he's trying absolutely everything, but he just hasn't got the options available to him at the minute.
Yeah. What are you supposed to do in this situation? We've got bodies out through injury. We've even loan players. Obviously, Garner's out injured. Not even injured. He's got some sort of virus or there's something wrong with him that seems to be bewildering the medical staff at the minute. And it's just, you can't you can't buy a bit of luck at the minute. My goodness, we cannot buy a bit of luck. Maybe we got a little bit lucky on Saturday in the Cup because Accrington quite easily could have dumped us out if we didn't turn up in that second half. And all in all, penalties obviously is a bit of a lottery. So to get through on penalties is quite fortunate. But then thinking, right, you see that team at 6:30 Tuesday night, and you're thinking, I don't think that's too bad all in all. And then Mr. Oates goes and gets himself sent off after 15 minutes. And you think, great. And it's just like, it's just one of them things. You're like, these lads have played, some of them have played 100 and something minutes, really played 120 minutes. And you're thinking, like, we're going to get battered here because we've got no bodies. They're all injured. We've now got to play 75 minutes with a man less against a team that are a very good team, usually. It's just Mansfield, isn't it, at this point?
Certainly is. You might want to just turn yourself up a little bit, Cameron. You're a little bit on the low side, apparently.
That better?
Maybe. We'll see. To be fair, when someone says you can hardly hear Cam, it's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? Yeah. Right. Right. I think one of the things for me, Jim, as well, is looking about what options we've got available to us. Obviously, it's one of those things. We try and set up in a certain way. We try and play in a certain way. We try and play in a certain formation or whatever. And you look around, you're thinking, surely there's got to be one or two bodies that are available to us. Well, one of them is available, and for one reason or another, doesn't seem to be getting game time, doesn't seem to be getting a look in other than the odd cameo from the bench. What do you think the issue is with Mr. Tumbled-Wire?
I think the main problem was the change of the system, wasn't it? When we went to one striker up front, it didn't suit him at all. Last season, when he played a few games and he was up there with another striker, and he looked really, really good. But I think this system just doesn't suit his strengths at all. That front runner has to do a lot of work outside the box. It's just not his game. And so now, when you ask him to come off the bench and affect a game, he's that short of match minutes that he's just not sharp and he can't get into games. And it's a shame. I think he's just a casualty for the greater good, really. I think there's a good player in there, even at championship level as a finisher, but in the right setup. And we're not that right now.
It's frustrating a little bit, Cam, because over the last couple of games, Nigel Clough has almost toyed with going back to the back five again. In fact, on Tuesday, he did start with the back five with Akins at right wing back and FBT at left wing back with Evans partnering Oates up front. He sort of dropped that a little bit when Oates got sent off, and he tried it a little bit at Accrington as well. And you're thinking, actually, if we're going to play two up top, Dom Dwyer is probably the right foil for that. But again, whether it's a fitness issue, whether it's a confidence issue, we don't quite know, because pre-season he seemed to be like, it seemed like he was going to be playing week in, week out, like we were going to be building a team around him, and it just hasn't happened. And I think by now, having seen Clough historically over his tenure at Stags, if you're not in and around the side on a regular basis by now, you're not going to be more than a bit part player, are you?
No. It's just, I can't put my finger on it, to be honest. He doesn't look like the Dom Dwyer that we had towards the end of the season. He doesn't look like the Dom Dwyer we had in pre-season. And I don't necessarily what's particularly going wrong. He's just not performing, and it's that role where he's that other striker has got to do a lot of running. Unfortunately, when you've not got Mr. Oates up front, you're not. He's going to struggle because he's not going to do the running. Neither is Will Evans, and we haven't got another striker that's going to do close to as much running as before.
I'm going to say that you're having some technical issues because I've just tried listening on my phone and you're not coming through, and people are saying they can't hear you. So maybe quit and come back.
Hang on, is that any better?
Maybe quit and come back so I can try
I'll do that.
exit and come back in. Jim, we were talking about Dom Dwyer there, weren't we?
Yeah.
It is a bit of a frustrating issue for him, isn't it? Because he can't seem to buy a little bit. Look, but you're thinking now, when you've got Oates missing for 3 games, if he's not going to get a chance over the next 3, when is he going to get an opportunity to come back in?
Well, perhaps this is his chance, but put yourself in his shoes. He probably can see that, he's probably a victim of the way we're playing now. But also, as a human being, it's not going to help his morale or confidence or, he's probably a bit peeved with the whole thing. Anybody would be. And so, and especially at his age, he's probably thinking, well, do you know what? I want out of here as a professional. And, but like you say, this might be his little chance to do, to do something. So hopefully he can. But I think if we're going to play him, we're going to have to change how we're playing, as in system-wise. And I don't see that really happening, unless he just chucks Aikens up top and Dwyer off him. But I don't see it. I think Clough's almost sort of just giving up, written him off a little bit. We saw it with Danny Johnson. I know it was slightly different, but Danny Johnson only got 10 minutes here and there, and he couldn't. When you're only getting 10 minutes, how can you do it? How can you get into the game and seriously affect it? It's hard enough, for them to pick up the pace in that amount of time and affect the game. And to Dwyer's credit, he's scored a couple of late goals from what I can remember, but we're not fully utilising what he can do. But you're always going to get this. There's always going to be a squad assembled, then you change system. It's no surprise, is it?
Carl says lacking support like everyone. 90% of the season, the service to the front men non-existent. If league regular is fit, we wouldn't be playing one up front. That's a fact. Would love to see a ball whipped into the box for once. Ball comes back an awful lot off Dwyer, and he's been going down very easily when challenged. He didn't really have a good pre-season as well. That said, our lack of goals and firepower in recent games makes one wonder what he has to do to get a game, adds Richard. As always, if you want to have your say on your team, feel free to get involved in the comments. Yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating one because he was scoring in pre-season and we were shaping up to play that sort of 5 system. But I agree to some extent with Carl. We are lacking in terms of getting balls in the box, and especially in that wing-back system. And it showed a little bit at Cardiff, didn't it, where our main attacking threat when we were playing in the 5 was reliant on Maka at left wing-back, putting crosses in from deep, and Elliot Hewitt from right wing-back getting forward into the area. That's not how you play that system. That's not how you try and impact a game. And then again at Accrington, we didn't really get service into the front man as much as what we should have done. And we maybe sort of cut our nose off to spite our face a little bit when it comes to that, which is really, really frustrating. But again, what can you do? I personally think if Dom Dwyer doesn't get significant game time in the next 3 games, I don't think he's got a future at Mansfield, and I think we need to actually be looking to move him on in the January transfer window and getting a striker in that we are going to use. There is absolutely no point whatsoever in keeping a player around just because they had a number up when it's clear that we need players to come and impact the game and impact on what we're doing on the pitch, Jim. It has to be, if Clough's not going to use him, get him off. Yeah,
because we haven't got an unlimited budget. And you haven't got unlimited registration, so I agree. If you're not gonna use it, lose it. We have to make every registration place count. But back to the earlier comments about crosses in the box, we've got it in the locker. We showed just after half time at Cardiff, and in the second half on at Accrington, when we're front foot and higher up the pitch as a unit, we can do whatever we want with the ball. It seems like we seem to start games really, really badly, and I don't know why. We seem to start playing from the 46th minute. And it's ever so frustrating. I don't know why we can't start games like we do in the second half. But I think Dwyer's as good as gone, especially at his age. I think I don't see it happening there.
No, it is a little bit frustrating. What you just missed there, Cam, was a little bit of a chat about Dom Dwyer, and I was just saying to Jim there, if he doesn't get the game time over the next 3 games with Reece Oates, out in suspended, then when is he going to get the game time? We either need to use him or move him on.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris has said in the comments, he hasn't played in the reserves to get minutes either, which is fine. But we also can't risk him in a reserves game because we've just not. If he picked up a knock when we've got nobody to play in the first team, so yeah, he's not getting minutes on the pitch, but we can't afford to risk playing in a reserve game as well because notoriously the games that are played in the reserves are playing on worse pitches against. They're usually playing against younger players that just will kind of just lunge in for a tackle, don't necessarily think about the repercussions. And how many injuries in the past have we picked up in reserve games where we've just pushed players too far? And great, like he needs minutes, but it is frustrating because we know he's a good player. He knows where the back of the net is, and we just started to see what sort of player we'd got towards the end of last season, and it just seems that we've not got what we wanted at the minute. And maybe it's something in his personal life, maybe it's just his performance on the training pitch. It could be anything, but obviously it's now like very make or break for him. Like you said, now that we've not got Oates for definitely a game, probably 3, I can't remember how many it is, but
3.
This is now his chance to stake a claim in the team because we've not really got many options other than that.
We haven't indeed. And you'll be pleased or disappointed to know that you are coming through and I can hear you on the feed. So sorry to the 99% of the audience that hate Cam, and happy Christmas to the 1% of people who love you.
Ho, ho, ho.
Indeed. Right, let's move on, shall we, and talk about Tuesday night. We'll work backwards from there. Let's talk about the red card incident, shall we, Jim? Because it's one of those which is very frustrating, but by the letter of the law, it is a red card. But you're just hoping that, 30 minutes in, he slips, the player's not injured, the referee just shows a little bit of common sense and shows a yellow card rather than a straight red.
Yeah, I was fuming at the time, but the more I've seen it back on telly, because I had to see it again, the more I winced at it, like I said before. And I think in this day and age, the way the rules are, referees are, and the refs are told to referee like they are now. Let's be fair. The more you watch it, it's got red written all over it. In fact, a dark, proper, glowing red written all over it. So, he's probably asking for trouble. I mean, he probably did slip, but he has got a history of lunging in a bit like a bull in a china shop, hasn't he? Even if it's to get himself injured or to get a red. So, it's just one of those. But that I'll give the ref he got right. But the stuff afterwards, like getting in the way of loads of balls for both teams and then the missed penalty at the end, the referee was an absolute clown. And I've never been so pissed off with a ref for a long, long time.
Yeah, it is really, really frustrating. Let's stay with the red card for a minute, Cam, before we talk about the referee in a little bit more depth. I've watched it back, and for me, I don't think he lunges in. I think he's tried to follow the movement of the ball because he's trying to sort of dribble his way through 3 players. He loses control of the ball. He slips, which means his studs go up. And the lad does go down, but he's not injured. He gets up pretty much straight away. It is a red card, and I've got no arguments with it being a red card. I just think that the referees just need to have a little bit more leniency because it spoils the game, I think, for both sets of fans and for both teams as well. Because when you go down to 10 men so early, like we've seen, it becomes so difficult and so hard to play against. And the 2 teams then spend the next half an hour, 45 minutes being timid and trying to work each other out. It doesn't make for a good spectacle at all, does it?
Yeah, it was pretty much straight in front of me, and I thought it was a red card straight away. It just happened too quick to know if he slipped or not, and I think that's probably the reasoning behind the referee not hesitating for his back pocket. I think it's one of them. You look at it straight away and you're like, he's in trouble there. and I turned to a family member of mine and literally said the same thing. As soon as it happened on Tuesday night, Oates is in trouble here. And it is one of them, like Jim said, he's known for lunging in, whether that's to just bad tackles or whether it's lunging in and getting himself injured. It just seems to happen a lot. And especially when we're in such a bad run of form, knowing that we've got probably the strongest team that we've had out for a good few months because of injuries and other suspensions and everything else that seems to be happening at the minute. That's the strongest team we've put out for a very long time against a team that isn't doing too well on the road at the minute. That's only their second win on the road this season. I think just Oates has just got to be more careful. I don't think it... Especially, what's the point in lunging into a tackle like that 15 minutes into a game? Because 15 minutes into that game, like, we're very much still weighing each other up. We'd had some good chances. They'd had some good chances. And we were just starting to get on top in the game. And Oates had already bought a really easy free kick and a yellow card to one of their centre-backs doing what he does best. Head down, running with the ball and breaking through that back line. And we looked dangerous, and then he just goes and throws it all away. And Nigel Clough must be pulling his hair out. Because
sorry, Cam. No.
So it's just one of them. We started really well, and no doubt if he hadn't got sent off, we'd have won that. I don't think anybody can question that because they just didn't look anything special. Even when with 10 men, we could have won that game if it wasn't for bad decisions. And just rushed passing, we could have won that game, and maybe a little bit of poor defending for the actual goal because we just allowed the ball to bounce in the box again. But it's just frustrating because we've put in ourselves in these situations now, and it's what we don't need at the minute. We've already got players out injured. We know we're on a bad run, so why make it difficult for ourselves and get sent off after 15 minutes? It's just stupid.
I do feel, Jim, that at 11v11, we may well have won the game because I actually feel like it's probably the best we've played for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm just finishing up on that red card. I think the players know now that it's very easy to get a red. They know that before they go on the pitch. And I think if that was the other way around, if that was a Bolton player doing it to one of our players, Clough would have wanted a red. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
So I think that... I know it's frustrating, but I think that's where that is. But yeah, I agree, Craig. I think Bolton came with this reputation as being the form team in the league almost, but I didn't think they were anything special at all. I thought they were very pretty passing it around their own back four, but when they got across the halfway line, there wasn't much of a clue there, to be honest with you. And I'd like to have seen 11v11, and we'll get to see that again soon at the end of this month. But I think that game was there for the winning for sure. And as soon as they had that overload with the extra man, even though they didn't really make it count, I think it was always going to be an uphill battle. And it's a shame. But and if we're being fair, I think we probably deserved a point anyway with 10 men.
I can see why Swindon turned them over because I could see they had weaknesses in them, and I think that's probably why we were managed to stay in the game for as well as we did because they had certain gaps and holes in them. But do you know what? It's funny because we're in poor form at the moment. There's absolutely no escaping that camp, but we've been in poor form before, and sometimes it just takes a little bit of a spark, a fire to reignite into what we do. And do you know what? It reminded me a lot of that Port Vale game in the season where we got to the playoff final, where we were really poor. Then we put in a decent performance from nowhere, and that sort of sparked us going forward, didn't it?
Yeah. If the referee had have given us that penalty at the end and we'd have scored it, I think that could have been the moment. I think we deserved to get something from that game on the basis that we were very much on top, or starting to get on top of when it was 11v11, and then as soon as it was down to 10, we still held our own and definitely deserved something out of the game. And that Port Vale game obviously comes up a lot, and it's that turning point. And when we've had so many things going wrong and going against us, it just thinks like, right, we might finally be able to turn a corner because we were very much in that game. And then just another questionable decision goes against us, and it's like, for God's sake, when are we going to get a break? If it's not an injury or a red card, it's just a really terrible refereeing decision. I don't understand. I'm probably as far away from it as you could get, and you still blatantly see that it's handball. It's just, it makes you wonder what the referees are looking at. And like we were talking about, Jim mentioned not too long ago, just about getting in the way constantly. It's like, how many chances did we have to get the ball forward? And just the referee getting in the way, and it's poor. You're just not reading the game. And it's one of the first things you learn about when you are officiating. It's being in the right position to make a decision and not affecting the play. And unfortunately, the referees are doing it too much. A good referee is a referee you don't have to talk about. And unfortunately, it seems every game, all bar maybe Saturday, where I can't remember anything particularly happening in the Accrington game, it just seems week in, week out, there's something wrong, whether it's in our game or somebody else's. It's just, the officiating is just so poor in general. It's not, no wonder Cloughy goes mental after every game.
That's very, very true. Right, let's introduce a third voice to the chat then, shall we? And say hello and good evening to Mr. Cleave. Hello, Mr. Cleave, and the doggo.
It's Toby.
Hello, Toby.
Right, that's it. Star appearance. Off you go. Oh, Toby, take him away.
Bite him, Toby, bite him.
Good evening, everybody.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Jolly good.
I have to confess, on my way away from the game on Tuesday, I did an old man thing. I fell over. I tripped over on Nottingham Road. And the only good thing about that is that nobody saw me. I went base over apex outside KFC.
I got a minute. Right. So you fall over and nobody saw you. And what you thought you'd do was, instead of keeping it quiet and hiding your embarrassment, you thought you'd come on a podcast and tell everybody watching and listening about it.
That's the sort of guy I am.
Fair play, Clive. Fair play. Right, let's go back to the Accrington game, and we'll talk about an instant after the Accrington game later on. But it was a frustrating afternoon at times in the absolute howling rain. I felt sorry more for those who were behind the goal, Clive. We managed to get halfway line in the seater stand right at the back, but we still got a little bit damp. And yeah, it was another one of those games where we were thinking, how are we going to get through this? The last thing we needed was extra time.
Yeah, and we got there early enough to be able to pick a seat, and the stand on the side of the ground is only 6 rows deep. We managed to get on the back row, and the rain was hitting the first 4 rows, wasn't it, and splashing on us a little bit. But then, of course, those people who elected to go behind the goal, they got no cover at all. It's not a very good ground for weather protection. It has charm, but it's not a very nice ground to when it's inclement. And let's be fair, if you're in Greater Manchester, it's always inclement.
Yeah, this is very true. One of the things which we were slightly worried about, Clive, before the game was the team news. Obviously, Owen Mason played at Accrington with Liam Roberts not involved at all. He was injured in the Cardiff game late on, a little bit of a dig to his ribs, and actually reflecting on Tuesday night a little bit as well. Obviously, Roberts went back in, but you could tell that he was carrying a little bit of a knot with his ribs, because every time he opened up his body to try and kick long, or, needed to jump with defenders, he looked a little bit hesitant towards it. You could tell he was struggling a little bit, couldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think he should have been played. I think Mason should have had another game. He did nothing to be sorry about at the game at Accrington. I know he got his hands to a ball that eventually got put in by Madden, but it was a greasy, wet day, and that sort of thing happens. Obviously, his performance in the penalty shootout was remarkable, and there were good saves, And the lad needs pitch time, and what's the point in being a professional footballer if you don't get a chance to do it? We're going to have situations where a keeper isn't fit or gets a cold or is injured or whatever. And if that's the case, you don't play him, you play his deputy. But, we like Roberts. We know Roberts is probably arguably one of the best keepers in the league, but not when his chest is strapped up, because he's got bruised ribs.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, that, Jim, isn't it, with the old ribs and everything, because it's an injury that you can't really see. I'm quite surprised that Nigel Clough was open and honest about it in his interviews afterwards. I might have lied and said that he had a cold or something. Because if I'm an opposition manager and I'm looking at that as they do, the one thing I'm telling my centre forward to is the first corner, get in with a little jab.
Absolutely. I'm surprised Bolton didn't target that more, if I'm quite honest. And I agree with Clive. Roberts wasn't fit. He shouldn't have been playing. Mason's proved on a couple of occasions now he's perfectly adequate. He's proved it in League One games last year that he can fill in and there's no dramatic drop off. I'm not saying he's as good as Roberts yet, but I've got no problems with him being in goal. And if anything, he probably should be playing Saturday because rib injuries, they don't heal quick. So but picking up on Clive's point, Mason needs to be playing every week, I think, for his own development. As much as he's good enough to be our number 2, he should be out playing every week somewhere. I want to keep him on the books, but he needs experience.
Yeah, and on the injury front as well, Cam, we're looking at players who we need to keep available and fit, and about Nigel Clough sort of being maybe a little bit too open and honest with what's happening. You may have spotted Will Evans wearing a thing down his wrist and with his fingers taped up as well at Accrington. You would have seen it on Tuesday night as well. Well, he said after the Accrington game, didn't he? A ball hit him in training and he's caught a nasty one. And again, if you're a centre half, I'm squeezing that. I'm absolutely squeezing that.
Sorry, I keep muting myself. Yeah, you just go for it, don't you? I'm not saying be dirty, but you certainly. It's like letting defender letting a striker know you're there in the first minute. It's just one of them things. You just a bit of gamesmanship, innit? I don't think. Yeah, don't go out your way. But every time the ball came into the box, Roberts kind of just looked unfazed by it. If you're Bolton, you should have just had every defender and every ball should have been going near him and just jumping up into him. Because it doesn't have to be a foul. You just give him a little nudge, don't you? So yeah, we're unlucky. But same again, it's the point where we can't afford any more injuries. So I think it's very precautionary. In the past, we probably would have left them out, but it's now clearly the management don't trust Owen Mason enough yet to play a league game, which is why Roberts played. But it's just so frustrating because how many chances did we have on the break on Tuesday night, and the kick or the throw out was just poor.
He just couldn't, could he? You could see him wincing. You could see him. I was watching him in the warm-up, and I said to my dad, I went, I'm going to be surprised if he gets through 90 minutes tonight because he just did not look comfortable one little bit. But anyway, that's by the by. Clive, we talk about injuries and players picking up inoculative knocks and things like that as well. Another thing is players coming back from fitness and not managing to get through a full 90 minutes. Obviously, they had to get through a little bit longer on Saturday at Accrington. But one positive from all of this negativeness of people picking up knocks left, right and centre is Bailey Cargill has come back into the fold. And to be fair, I thought he had a superb game on Tuesday, and I thought he played well in spells at Accrington as well. Mr. Cleave?
You went completely quiet then, Craig.
I think it's you.
I think it might be you. I think you're lagging a little bit. We'll see. Throw it out the window. Right, I'll come back to you in a second.
Those gosh darn gremlins have got in the electrics again.
I know.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Is this the podcast?
This is the podcast, Mr. Cleave.
Yeah.
I think he's
what
got
were you
my old
asking
router,
me?
hasn't he?
What was I asking you? I can't remember that. Bailey Cargill. Looks good value for coming back, doesn't he? No, he's gone.
No.
There's
Bye,
his bye. See you in part 4.
Oh, this is going well.
Oh, no. I'll tell you what, though, as one face, old as in age, face disappears. One old face is in, former podcaster appears. Simon's been in touch. Evening, fellas. Been a while. You've probably already discussed this, but I think Rhys Oates was unlucky. I think he slipped and tried to keep his balance, in my opinion. Plus, what has Clough got against Dom Dwyer? We needed a goal on Tuesday, and he brings on 2 defenders in the midfielder. What was his thinking behind that? Mr. Cleave's back. Hello, Mr. Cleave.
Hello. I heard good kill. So I guess you're saying, was it good news that Cargill's back in the side?
That's the one.
Yes, the answer is yes, it is. And he looked okay. He's a little bit rusty, as you imagine, but his fitness looked all right. I think this the problem we have as a club is we know we've got a lot of people with fairly long-term injuries. And then a lot of the people we're having to play are still carrying recovery from injury. So we're not as fit for 90 minutes as we need to be. And it's asking a lot of those players who are coming back from injury to put 90 minutes in a very competitive arena without making their situation worse. Now, I don't know what the answer to this is. If you're going to have injuries, you've got to have more players at your disposal, I suppose.
I think the answer is short. Oh, hello. Shorter game time and I think being able to make 11 subs. I think that might be the way forward. Right, we're going to talk FA Cup draw very, very shortly indeed. Anything else that you want to talk about Mansfield Town-wise? Get involved in the live feed comments and have your say on your team.
Protect what matters most with Actifier Limited, your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifier Limited today or visit actifier.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifier Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
You're back with the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. You heard there from our sponsors, Actifier Limited. Fantastic Actifier Limited. And they are giving you the opportunity to win 2 tickets for the Stags home game against Stockport on Saturday, the 20th of December. All you need to do to win, or being with a chance of winning those tickets, should I say, is head over to the Actifier Limited Facebook page. Now, if you're not sure where this is, you can just type in Actifier Limited on Facebook or head to our page, MTFC Matters, Mansfield Matters, and scroll down and you will see us sharing a post. All you need to do is go on that original post. You need to like the post, share the post, and then a winner will be drawn at random on Wednesday, the 17th of December. Why? Well, because Mansfield matters, of course. So go and check out Actifier Limited and their competition to win a pair of tickets for the Stags home game against Stockport County on Saturday, the 20th of December. Right, we're going to talk FA Cup draw in just a minute, but we need to clear up something which happened on Saturday after the game. We need to hold our hands up. Clive, earlier on in the podcast, held his hands up and said, you know what? Yeah, I fell over and made a right tit of myself outside KFC on the way back from Tuesday's game. Well, do you know what? I looked at my screen when you said that, Clive, and Jim was laughing his head off. And do you know why? Because on Saturday, after Accrington, Jim, you tell it. What happened?
Oh, God. Well, we came out the ground and Clive lifted the boot so we could put our wet coats in the boot. And I think you two put yours in and got in. I put mine in. And I managed to work out the button to get the boot to shut, basically. Did that, and the boot shut, and you two drove off.
No, well, I wasn't driving. I was in the passenger seat, so I didn't drive. Us two didn't drive off, did we? Let's
Mr.
get
Clive,
that right.
Mr. Clive drove off. You were navigating, though, but there you go. But anyway, so you stopped about 50 yards up the street, so I've caught you up and opened the door, and I thought you two were just, pissing about. But I think you genuinely thought I was in the car, didn't you?
Yeah.
No. I was glad to see the back of you. The thing is, if it hadn't been for the number of Stags coaches on a narrow road, we would have been away. We would have been in Rawtenstall or somewhere by the time we realised you weren't there. As it was, we had to wait to get by, and you caught up with us. I was a bit embarrassed by the faux pas, but you see, Jim, all the way there and all the way back, you're very quiet in the car. It's difficult to know when you're there or not.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to say, but never mind. We can laugh about it now.
You were very fortunate, Jim, that there was a car in front of Clive that didn't know how to get through a gap between a bus and a parked car and was faffing about so long. Him faffing about basically helped you get a lift home. Because genuinely, I agree with Clive. I think we would have probably been a good 5 minutes down the road before we looked back and gone, we'd have been talking to you and we might not got an answer. He's been a bit quiet. He looked back and go, Clive, where's Jim?
And plus, your phone would have been ringing like crazy, Craig, and I think that would have saved the day as well. But
so where's Jim gone? What's the
But back to your fall, Clive. I think you're at the age now, mate, where you don't fall over. You just have a fall.
No, it was a trip.
Okay.
I'm not tottery yet, but I mean, the thing is, once you lose your equilibrium at my age, there's no recovering from it until you hit the ground.
You're about as fit as one of our players, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I did go full length, and thankfully onto a pavement, not onto the road. And I've got gravel rash on my palm, and I've got a little plaster on my thumb because I made it bleed. But it was embarrassing, and I've hurt me. I've bruised myself. But there you go. I'm at that. I'm at that funny age, and thankfully nothing broke.
Just to let you know, Clive, that to fix your equilibrium or whatever it was you said, you can get some little blue pills for that.
Yeah, I've tried them. It got stuck in my throat. I got a stiff neck.
Oh dear, right.
Can I just say one more thing, Craig? That's a good segue to the last point we're talking about our squad, what the answer is to all these injuries. Well, how about we stop buying injured players? The amount of injured players we either bring in or players that we've already brought in and given new deals to who are absolute crocs at times, and then they get injured again and we scratch our heads. It's like buying an Alfa Romeo from the 1980s and it breaks down and we scratch our heads. Why?
Do you know what? I'm pleased you went that way, Jim, because there was a split second in my head where I thought you were going to segue from talking about little blue pills to Stags players using little blue pills and them running around with,
I couldn't possibly comment, but.
So I'm glad you segued elsewhere. Let's segue to a cup draw, shall we, Cam, and talk about the FA Cup third round draw. Now, I think I'm probably in the minority here because I'm absolutely fuming that we've got Sheffield United away. I think it's a crap draw and it doesn't really do anything for us. But obviously you're buzzing because it's like a minute down the road, isn't it? You just fall out of bed.
Yeah, I can literally walk to the bottom of my hill, get a tram and get off in Sheffield City Centre. So I'm very happy. And I know the good pubs to drink at and where to get good food. So all is good for me.
No, there you go. I can assure you, Clive, that Cam is coming through. We had issues with him in the first part. I know you can't hear him very well, but let's be honest, you don't really give a shit about what he says anyway, do you?
Charming.
Rarely.
So there you go. Right, Jim, Sheffield United away, what do you make of the draw? It's frustrating because, last ball out of the competition. We are away, which is a slight positive in terms of financial reward, but could have been Man United. It could have been Crystal Palace. What did we end up with? Sheffield United.
Yeah, I mean, to have us at Man United in the last, we were 2 of the last 4 balls. It was like, is this going to be it? Because we'd never played Man U before, and that would have been the dream tie, wouldn't it? Old Trafford away. But having said that, considering we could have got Shrewsbury away, Salford away, some non-league team away, Sheffield United away is a good tie. It really, a big club, 45 minutes up the road, away. You can't grumble, really. So I think they're being a bit greedy, wanting United. But having been so close, you can't help thinking, I wish that's the one we would have wanted. But I think I'm looking forward to the game. It's a good old draw, that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's, wanting Man United or whatever. I think it comes to me as looking at it as a financial reward. Because obviously in the FA Cup, Clive, things are split 3 ways after expenses. So obviously the FA get a proportion. the home club do and then the away club do. And if you're at home, obviously, we're limited to from ticket revenue, from what we can get. So getting a big team away, someone with a 50,000+ capacity that's going to make us a pretty penny, and that can really set teams up. I mean, look at what he did for Bolton all those years ago. They got United, didn't they, when they were in the conference, and it basically set them up for the next 5-6 years. I think when you operate in the manner we do transfer-wise, which is clearly bringing in free transfers and players with questionable injury histories, you've got to be aiming for these. You've got to be aiming for these bigger away ties, so you can get some more financial input.
I take your point. But having said that, in the third round of the FA Cup, if you were away to Liverpool, there wouldn't be 50,000 there. If we were away to Arsenal or Tottenham or Aston Villa, there wouldn't be full ground. Not at this point, because everybody who's a regular fan of those clubs are season ticket holders, and they don't buy FA Cup tickets in the same numbers, or rarely anyway. So I think this is a good draw as far as I'm concerned. It's accessible. The Bramall Lane stand will accommodate as many Stags fans that want to go. And I think Wilder has a history of playing squad players for these games, so we're in with a chance. If we can, get a couple of players who aren't on stretchers, we should be all right. Yeah, it'll be an interesting day out, and there's a chance we could come away with something. If we don't, there's a bit of a payday. There'll be 20,000 odd there.
Yeah, that's true. And I think another positive, Cam, is there's a potential that it could be one of the TV select games, or at least have some form of additional coverage based on, obviously, Nigel Clough's connections with Sheffield United when he was manager, and his history in the FA Cup with them, and the fact as well that I believe Sheffield Wednesday were also drawn at home.
Yeah, and the virtue that genuinely I can't think of any decent draws other than Macclesfield getting Palace. Obviously non-league against the current holders, but other than that, everything else is just a bit crap. It's all teams playing each other. There's a lot of championship versus championship fixtures, if my memory serves me rightly, and it's a little bit boring. But like we were saying before, like we were talking about this in the group chat before about do we at this stage take the lowest team possible, or one of the lower teams, one of the non-league teams, take on paper an easier game, get through to round 4, and then have a better probability of pulling one of the big teams? It's just all about, if you're, say we drew a Premier League team, we're going to get beat regardless, because we've just not got any fit players. But we were saying before, do we take the hit in the third round, get a lower team, not make as much money, but potentially get on the TV, take a bit more from that, and then use that money to bring a striker in, or somebody in that's not crocked, and just use it to bring some players in? Like we said before, like setting up, like Bolton used that money for the Man United game to pay off stadium debt. Exeter were going down the pan, and then they had Man United many years ago. It's just the FA Cup. But then I think it all just feeds back into this thing of the FA Cup not having replays anymore. And it's that, if we, per se, we're not over the moon about this draw, but if we could get this to a replay per se, that's then another pot of money that we're then able to access.
Replays, they happen in round 3?
No. What I'm saying is, if replays did happen, because
they
it's
don't.
more.
But
what I'm saying is, it all just feeds back into this crap. But then again, we've not got the players to be able to do it anyway, because they'd all be injured, so we won't necessarily be able to play a replay. It's just all a load of rubbish. Clough, no doubt, Mr. Clough will be moaning about it.
Well, there you go. He moans about a lot of things, doesn't he? But yeah, we'll find out what happens. Of course, that will be the weekend of Saturday, the 10th of January. So that will mean our home. I think it's our home fixture, isn't it? Against can't remember Reading. Will be on a Tuesday night, but you never know. It could be the Friday or maybe even the Sunday.
Hopefully, the Reading game doesn't get moved to anywhere in January, because at the moment we're playing 8 games in January.
Yes, it's an expensive month. I'm sure Nigel Clough will not want an extra game in January, but you never know what might happen. Worse things have happened indeed. So, right, of course, we've got plenty of league games to go before then, including one on Saturday as we make the trip down to AFC Wimbledon, which means it's time for this.
The game of luck, who gives up, don't mess it up. I hear you say, how do you play? Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score zero, that's the game. But we're not fools, this game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine, remember the rhyme. Contest predictions. Contest predictions. Remember the rhyme. Guess on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Contest predictions.
Right, podcast predictions time then as we head to AFC Wimbledon. We'll give you an update on who is where after the Wimbledon game and on next week's podcast as well. So we're going to dive straight in to all things predictions. And I'm going to go for Clive. You're up first.
1-1 draw, McDonald.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Jim, you're next.
2-2. Akins.
Okay, he's going for another start for Akins. Cam.
1-0 Stags. Akins.
Oh, okay. I'm also going to go for a Stags win. I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1. And I am going to say Will Evans will be our hero to make sure we don't score 0. As ever, if you want to play along, you can do so via the link in the description. And you must submit your guesses by when, Cameron?
An hour and a half before kickoff.
Okay, 90 minutes. And don't get caught out like I probably have done in the pre-recorded outro. Because, Jim, it's not 3 o'clock, is it, Saturday?
No, it's 12:30.
So Sky Sports Plus if you want to watch the game. So, yes, make sure you get involved with all of that as well. Henley in the comments says 3-1 and Evans. If you want it to count, Henley, and you want to play along, you have to submit your guess via the link that is in the description. We don't take any of them from the comments. The only way to play is via the link in the description. Chris says Dwyer, 1-0. Well, again, if you want to back yourself and you want to play along with podcast predictions, doesn't matter if you've not played yet this season. There's still plenty of points to be won, and keep your eyes peeled for some double points over the Christmas period. Right, that's almost all we've got time for tonight. Clive, I'll come to you first. It's been a frustrating few weeks for the Stags. So there were some promising signs at Accrington. We managed to scrape through, and there were some promising signs performance-wise against Bolton as well, even though the result wasn't quite there. But as we go to Wimbledon on Saturday, who knows? We might just turn a corner, and it'd be sod's law that we do, because we ain't going.
Yeah, we're not going to put the albatross on this one. I think there's a chance we can come away with something. I've been fairly cautious with the 1-1 forecast prediction, but I think you're right. There were some things within the Bolton game that gave us some reason for confidence. We were unlucky with the goal. We were unlucky with the sending off. Other than that, there wasn't a lot between the two teams. And Bolton, have got a lot more resources than we've got. Wimbledon are a team that I think are beatable on when we're on our form. It's whether we can find that form, isn't it?
Yeah, and finding that form is the critical thing, Jim, as well. But like we've seen before in the past under Nigel Clough, we go through a bit of a barren spell of not playing very well and all of that sort of stuff. And then we lose a game or we draw a game, but we play superbly well and we feel a little bit undone by, and then things start to click a little bit. So maybe Tuesday night might be the catalyst for something on Saturday.
It's like a psychological cycle, isn't it? I think players get that worn down and pissed off with it all. They're just like brave boxer syndrome, isn't it? They just sort of go into a different zone, and I can see them really having a bit between the teeth on Saturday. They'll feel, wrongly done by on Tuesday, and I can see a performance coming, definitely. But I agree, we look solid and we competed, especially defensively. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, let's certainly hope so. Cam, it's a big opportunity, isn't it, for someone on Saturday to step up, especially with Rhys Oates out Christmas shopping for the next 3 games?
Yeah.
And nobody cares what you've got to say. Right, we'll see you next time on the Mansfield Matters Podcast. Sadly, that's all we've got time for on tonight's Mansfield Matters Podcast. My thanks as ever to the Mansfield Matters Podcast panel and, of course, to you guys at home for watching and for listening. A reminder, if you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link in the description. You must submit your guesses no later than 90 minutes before kickoff, and you can't choose the same player 2 games in a row to be your fantasy captain. Make sure you follow us on all things social media to find out when we're next going to be live, and join us next week for what will inevitably be our festive-ish special. And if you're going to the one call on Monday night for the FA Youth Cup game and you see any of us there, come and say hello, hello. We'd love to see you. Right, have a fantastic rest of your week. Safe trip to Wimbledon if you're going, and if you spot any strikers underneath your Christmas tree, let Nigel Clough know.
Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited, your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters Podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifire Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters Podcast.